Perfect is not going to happen.
There we go. All right. I'm going to run the intro. Welcome back to Woke Plus. Today we are excited to welcome Dave Katz, founding member of the legendary Acoustic Hookah, the band that is the creative force behind one of the Midwest's most iconic music festivals, Hookahville. With Hookahville 60 coming up, this milestone marks decades of incredible music, community, and celebration in the heart of Ohio's countryside. For over 30 years, Hookahville has been a cornerstone for jam band fans, blending diverse sounds and a deep sense of connection and good vibes. So let's jump into what makes Hookahville so special, what attendees can expect from this 60th edition, and how they keep the spirit of the festival alive. Dave, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. 60.
I got yelled at by some of our loyal fans that I didn't do long enough introductions. So I always do the introduction that I feel like the person's like, great, they're sitting there praising me. I know I'd be a little like, yeah, I'm wonderful. That's great.
Yeah,
how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, and I'm glad you didn't lavish much praise on me. Keep it on the festival. That's much better.
There you go. I hear you. So 30 years. You want to give us a quick little history lesson of what prompted the first one and how it's evolved?
Yeah, I mean, basically, the first one happened in '94. The band has been around since '91, and the first one was basically just I lived out in the middle of the woods with another guy who at the time was our manager, and we thought, hey, let's have a show out on our property. We really need a pump for our well, and that's what we charged the band essentially to facilitate the show, and we just called it Hookahville because it made sense. And I actually had written a song called Hookahville prior to the show, maybe even a couple years beforehand. I'm not really sure. But we didn't have there was no plan on continuing it. It was just going to be one show. And it went really well. We're like, we happened to do it on Memorial Day weekend. And we were like, hey, let's do it again on Labor Day weekend, but let's move it off our property and, find a place to do it. And we just kind of kept going on those 2 weekends for a while until we eventually moved off of the particular weekends, but just kept it going twice a year.
Yeah. When did you guys get to move to the former Buckeye Lake? You've been there for a few years, or on and off for a few years, right?
Yeah. So when we first went there, it was Buckeye Lake, but there was nothing going on there. They haven't had shows in a while. I actually used to go to some shows there when I was a kid. Some more hard rock type things that were going on there. And I don't really remember how we thought about it. It may have been that I was like, hey, there's this place. I know about this place, we should check it out or something like that. But there was nothing going on at the time. And we kind of, I mean, I'm sure the place would have done great had we not been there. But when we started doing it, that's kind of got them back rolling as far as having shows go. But I can't remember what year it was that we were first there. I really have no idea. It was sometime in the late 90s.
Right. Yeah, guys saw the Grateful Dead there quite a few times.
Yeah.
And 89, I guess, or 88 maybe. I don't know.
I mean, it's pretty, regardless, it's pretty damn impressive to keep it going for that long. Like, that is an impressive run. Congratulations on that, for sure. Like, that's awesome too.
Thank you.
And be able to move venues and like do that too. I mean, I love that story. I love the founding story that you did it well and like you did it on your property, which that's even more awesome. Like, I was like, that's perfect. Like, why not just have a little festival thing on your property? That's perfect. But to be able to like use it to get the well. Did you get the well? Did you end up getting the well from it?
Yeah, we got the pump, so we got the well going eventually, and we didn't have to use an outhouse anymore. That was nice.
Nice. Look at that. See, that's the whole one. Like, cause this. That's a great founding story for like the whole reason this kind of came about. And now, that's fantastic. Like, to do anything. And Kevin and I talk about all the time. In fact, more than we like to, about festivals. Not like, especially these days, that are shuttering and not working or sputtering out before they even get into anything, or closing down, to be able to do what you've been doing for 30 years says a lot about you guys and the fans. Like, that's amazing. So congratulations. That's great.
Says more about the fans than anything else, really. To be honest,
Well,
you're on the nose on that one.
Totally, the fans and the music, because there's obviously you got to be putting out good music for them to want to come, and then to want to come see you. So I mean, it works both ways, but that's really cool. That's a really cool thing to have. It's such a fan base that's that passionate to do this. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah,
very fun.
Yeah.
The building the community. That's the most beautiful thing about it to me, is that you have built this community around it and around the band.
It's awesome. So
fun.
Fun.
Yeah, and it was kind of, the way we went about it, I think, had a lot to do with it, because Hookahville grew faster than the band did. I guess there really wasn't anything going on. I shouldn't say that. It was kind of the same rate, but there weren't any festivals like that in the eastern part of the country at all. I mean, there just wasn't. We were the only one, and so people were coming from all over the country, and I mean literally all over the country as it got bigger. And, we always did it on basically on a wing and a prayer. We never had a budget. We didn't have any money. There was nothing like that. It was just like, hey, let's contact these bands and see if they'll play, and we'll pay them. And what it came down to is, if you paid them, they would come, and they didn't mind opening up for us. So we always headlined, and that was kind of and still do, but that was kind of the key, because as we got bigger and bigger bands, it drew more people, not just because of us, but the name of the festival and the other bands were drawing people. But because we headlined, they were there. Everybody stays to see the headliner. Like, if we had been playing earlier, maybe nobody would have watched us. So that kind of helped draw our crowd, or build our crowd, I should say. A lot of people still to this day are like, oh, I never even heard of you when I came to Hookahville. I didn't even know who you are. I knew who Hookahville was, but we never heard of you. We came to see blah, 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 and then they saw us, and it was like, oh, like they were walking away from the stage when we started playing, and they heard us, and they're like, oh, this isn't so bad. They turn around and listen to us. So that, it kind of worked in a backwards manner in that sense.
You guys really were at the vanguard, though, of the festival resurgence. I mean, it disappeared, I guess, in the 80s kind of thing, maybe because of that Who stampede with the general admission. I think it was probably a lot of legal stuff that they disappeared for so long. But Fish did their thing in 96. You guys started, and now all of a sudden every band does their festival. How do you compete with that? Is it the fact that you are such a well-known brand out there?
I don't think that we do compete with it, because in a good way, because the fact of the matter is that Hookahville grew and grew, and it hit its peak in, I believe it was 2000 was our biggest one, and then it still stayed big, like bigger than most things. But around 2001 is when a lot of big corporate festivals started.
Bonnaroo and
all of them. There's and there were so many of them also. But they, the ticket prices went up. It all was relative. The what the bands were charging, or what the festivals were willing to pay to get the top bands, because they were all competing with. All of a sudden, there was a lot of competition, right? And in some facets of life, when there's competition, it brings prices down. Not with festivals. Everything up. And like I said, we had no money. Nobody was backing us, so we couldn't get the same bands at the same level of popularity, let's say. I'm not going to say they weren't as good, because popularity doesn't necessarily equal how good a band is, but and that's people have different opinions on how good bands are, which is a good thing. But we got drowned out, basically, is what happened. So the more festivals there were, the smaller our numbers became. So we just had to roll with it. So it wasn't really that we're competing, and we're still not competing. It's just that we have, like you said in the beginning, we have that fan base, and they show up, and we do it for them. And then anybody else who wants to show up,
there you go.
Basically.
So you're doing
it's awesome.
It's unique this year. You guys are playing 2 sets each night, each representing a different era of the band. You want to run through a little bit about what that is and if fans can expect anything special from that, besides it being special in and of itself that you're getting everybody
Right, that you're getting the old songs and everything. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, so we according to our, I mean, you could say we have 3 eras. You know, the fan base calls it, Acoustic Hookah 1.0, 2.0, and I don't even think they call us now 3.0. I think it's just what we are. I think we're just Acoustic Hookah now. So 1.0 refers to the original lineup, essentially. The band was started around myself and another singer-songwriter, John Mullins. We were playing together. The band built around that. And unfortunately, John passed away, I forget how many years ago, handful of years ago. And there happens to be a guy who's from Columbus, Ohio, or that area, who was always a fan of the band's, who is a phenomenal musician in his own right. His name's Nat Reeb. And he sounds exactly like John, especially his voice sounds exactly like John sounded, especially in the early years. So we've done some shows with him before and had him sit in and done some of John Mullins' songs. So the first night, that's what you're getting. You're going to get the band as it is now, but with Nat doing the vocals on the John song. So it's not going to be all John songs. It's going to be, something close to what you would have gotten back in the early 90s as far as the way the show goes and the selection of songs. Moving on to the next night, that would be Thursday night. Friday night's Acoustic Hookah 2.0, which when John was in the band twice. He was in, he was out, he was back in, he was out again. And in the interim was Ed McGee, singer-songwriter, guitar player. And so Ed will be there singing his songs and playing with us on that night. Third night's going to be us, the way we are now. And we're actually it's being billed as 7 sets. And that is being billed that way because we always do, on the last night, we always do an encore set that's a set of cover tunes that we've never done before. So usually it's 4 songs. We're actually going to do a little more than that this time. I'm not going to let on too much on what we're doing here, but it'll be a longer. I usually don't consider it a set. I consider it the encores. Now this time it will be an encore set. So it's just going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be it's a very Acoustic Hookah centric Hookahville, which it's always kind of that anyways, but it's even more so this time.
Right. So, and the set lists are going to specifically be, if you wrote a song after 1.0 was over, we're not seeing that. We're only seeing the pool of songs you had at that moment.
Yeah. With the 1.0, the Thursday night, there's a chance that there could be songs from the second time that John was in the band.
Okay, that's fair.
Some people, they might call that Acoustic Hookah 1.0 revisited. I don't know where you go with that exactly, but it's more or less the Mullins years, the McGee years, and as we are now.
There you go. Is Ed going to do a solo set too? Doesn't he usually play a solo set?
Yeah, actually, so Ed's going to open up the whole festival on Thursday. He's going to play before us. And the first Hookahville that was out of our property that we talked about, he opened up for us there. So it's kind of a full circle kind of thing there. Obviously, he wasn't in the band at that time, and he was a fan of the band's. And eventually that led to him being in the band, when John was first out. So, yeah, he'll be doing a solo set to open it up. I believe on Thursday, that's all the music on Thursday. It's Ed and then us.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Are we all right, what else, who else do we have on the bill? I guess is where we should go next, because we teased Ed there. On Friday and Saturday, you guys have a more fleshed out bill.
Yeah. You would probably know better than I as far as everybody, because I just can't remember. I mean, I know in my head. This one is a very scaled back version as far as again, going to popularity. I mean, they're all great acts. That has nothing to do with it. It's going. This is the idea of this was to kind of bring it back to the feel of the first one. We're going to a smaller venue where it should feel pretty packed. Like we've been doing them still at Legend Valley, formerly Buckeye Lake. You know, that place, you saw the Dead there. I saw the Dead there. You can fit 60,000 people in the place. You know, our biggest Hookahville was 15,000 people, and it was there. And that was great with the camping in there. It was packed, you know, but, you know, when you have, you know, anything under a couple thousand, it's pretty sparse. And even though it's really cool, great place, the stage is amazing, this is going to have a much homier feel, like the first couple years of Hookahville kind of thing. So the bands, the acts that are on it are mostly, maybe all, I'm not sure, Ohio bands. A lot of them fairly locals to the area where the actual show is. I can't remember everybody who's on it. I know that Zoo Trippin's on it. I remember that. You know, real good kind of harder edged band. I don't know how they classify themselves. I'm not real good at with the classification.
Labeling things.
You know, it's that's a hard way to go. I know that we're not having any similar to the early ones. There's no late night bands after us. It's all very toned down acoustic stuff. I know that Austin and the Sid Experience are going to be there doing that, and I think Dustin Smith from Dustin Smith and the Daydreamers will be there doing that one night.
Nice.
I don't know who else is going to be there. You probably.
I see the Whiskey Drinks, Ed McGee, Apostle Jones, the Groovy Roots, Crispy's Midnight Railroad.
Oh yeah, Crispy's is going to be there. Yeah.
Yep.
So there's some bluegrass, there's some reggae stuff. There's we always try to do that anyways, and really bring a good mix of styles of labels.
Right. Well, that's what's always fun. I mean, that's always the good thing about the festival is it gives you a chance to mix it up and get a taste of some other music. And like you said, I mean, that's how a lot of people found you guys, right? Coming to see someone else, and then they stick around and check you out. So it's even how you grew. So it's a very roots feeling even to that. So it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of bands over the years that played Hookahville before they were huge, and then became huge. And it's obviously not just because they played Hookahville, but we always tried to. Back in the day, we would always have what we would call some dinosaurs, like at least one dinosaur, which now we're dinosaurs. But I mean, we had the Neville brothers. When we had David Grisman there when he was along pretty good.
You had Billy Strings, Willie Nelson, Blues Traveler, Government Mule, Rat Dog. I mean, some huge names. And Billy Strings, he probably wouldn't come back now. He's probably too big to play.
Yeah, when he was there, he wasn't well known at all. That was one of the ones where when we were doing the booking and talking about it, it's like, ooh, this Billy Strings, he sounds like he's somebody who's he's obviously very talented and he might blow up, so we should get him before he blows up. But I remember we had like Humphreys McGee when not many people knew him. We had Robert Randolph when almost nobody knew him. But they either somebody in the band or some fans were talking about him or whatever, and we'd look into him and be like, wow, these this would be great, let's get them. And then after that, eventually they blew up, and some of them we had back after they blew up, and other ones we never did.
You guys are obviously good at curating a festival,
right?
From what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. I think a lot of festivals saw what we were doing. The ones that exist now saw what we were doing, and they were like, "Wow, this is a good way to do a festival." But get some money behind it also. But I think we kind of set a template to some extent for what's going on and has been going on since for the last 25 years, for sure.
Oh, definitely. So in addition to the music, there's going to be an artist village, right?
Yeah, we always have, I don't want to say always. Lately, we've had artist villages, and always have some really great artists of all kinds that are able to show their stuff and they can sell their stuff and things like that. So it's always cool to go check that out. A lot of them are doing live things, and other people are just
I
showing what
heard
they
live
have done.
glass blowing. I heard live
Yeah.
glass blowing, which is going to be hot.
Yeah,
That's
hope it's
awesome.
hotter than it is now, a little bit, anyways. A little hope, but then the way Hookahville is, it'll rain anyways, so it always rains a little bit, so that'll cool things
Right.
down.
Now, do you guys have do you sell food there at all, or have like beverages, or is it all everybody brings their own?
I mean, there's vending. We don't have any sort of liquor sales or anything like that. I think we did
That's
that.
a whole can of worms, right? Having to have the liquor license. Yeah.
I think we did that once, and it was such a pain that it was, just. But yeah, there's always good food, and it's basically festival food like people are used to, and there's a good selection of that, and plenty of vendors. I forget, there's a word for that, but other vendors that are not food. There's plenty of them too, selling clothes, and it's just like any festival these days. It's like its own little city. You can get everything you need pretty much.
So
awesome.
the camping's right there, right? Does everybody camp, or do you people don't do the custy thing and have hotels? And
yeah, I mean, actually, at this venue, it's very close. It's within a town limit, so there are hotels. I know people that are staying at hotels. People are staying at Airbnbs and that type of thing. I would assume most of them will camp, and then some people who live in the area, it's only about half hour from Columbus, so it's
you could go home. People could go home for the night.
Exactly. There'll be plenty of people going home, I'm sure. I mean, we're pretty open to. We try to keep it as easy as possible. I mean, there's definitely somewhere on the website, I'm sure it says no re-entry, but if you have a reason to leave, you'll get back in. We don't want people like walking out and walking in and walking out and
Right.
But if you're staying somewhere else, you're staying somewhere else. We're all good with that.
I hear you. But inside the venue, like where you have all the camping set up, it's you basically can just walk over a half a mile or whatever, and boom, you're at the stage and in the actual area.
Yeah. This venue is very small. I mean, you can probably traverse the entire from one end to the other in 15 minutes. So the
My
camp
kind
is
of
right there.
Yeah, exactly. Kev appreciates that.
Yeah, it's pretty flat. It's very
Even better. Nice. That's great.
Yeah. This one's good for us old folks.
It took me almost 2 hours to walk from where we were camped at Fish's Mondegreen thing to where my friend Amanda was. And I still never found out where she was. I gave up after 2 hours and just came back to the camp. And I was all angry. I busted out the tequila and they were like, dude, it's all right. I'm like, who's running this thing?
Yeah, it's definitely, big festivals have their ups and downs. And that's one of the downs right there. No doubt about it.
I'm all about the small festivals, just like I'm all about the bar band. I'd much rather pay my $20 and go see a band no one's probably ever heard of, that I'll be priced out of the market in a few years.
Yeah.
I like the whole thing though. The vibe of it's great too. Moving into like the smaller thing, like you said, it gives you more of that, like the camping sense with it all, and it's a little bit more community feeling than feeling like you're at this vast spread outness. It's a lot more fun, like when it gives it more intimate, I guess would be another way of putting it. And that's cool with the smaller festivals anyway. So that's awesome.
I mean, like that. It seemed like, when it started out, the first however many, few years were pretty much like that. I mean, it was getting bigger and bigger, but we were in venues that were appropriately sized. And then as it got bigger and bigger, and it really got big, it's like, it as being the band and being the host of the show and all that, it feels great. There's no doubt about it. But you lose a lot of what it was about in the first place. And I think that's lost in a lot of festivals. And even though, everybody has their groups of people that go and they go with and they have a good time, it's almost like going on vacation with your friends or whatever. It used to be with Hookahville, it used to be kind of everybody knew everybody in a sense. And even if they were coming from, other states and wherever, they kind of there was a real homey feeling about it, you know, and it was kind of special. And you lose that a little the bigger it gets. That's just the nature of it. And you know, organically, it Hookahville got smaller and smaller again, but we were still at this big place. Like the places were still pretty big.
Well,
And
Legends Valley, if people don't know, has like dinosaurs and stuff on it now. So that's a really neat place to go see a show, just because there's a lot of visual stimulation, to say the least.
It's a fantastic place. Everything about the place is fantastic. But again, if you don't have a lot of people there, it's still fun. But like you guys were saying, it's like you got to walk forever to get everywhere. You got to walk up the hill. You got to walk down the hill. You walk back up the hill. You know, you do all that. And as you get older, that becomes more difficult. Or, you know, as you drink more, that becomes more difficult, or whatever it happens to be.
Give me a golf cart.
Well, that's what I used to have back when it was big. I had a golf cart every time, and I was pretty young at that time. But, you know, I was allowed to have a golf cart, so why not, right?
Right, but, totally.
You know, this one's going to go back to that. You know, like it's going to be very, you know, you're kind of going to, not everybody's going to know everybody, but by the end of the weekend, everybody will know everybody. You know. Right. Yeah, everybody will recognize everybody. Be like, oh, that's that campsite that has the, you know, the skull flag or whatever, and you know, everybody will start knowing where everything is. By Saturday, it'll be like
right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be cool. I'm really looking forward to this. Just the whole thing. I'm really looking forward to it.
Awesome.
So can people, if somebody wants to send it, they're watching this today, they're like, I got next weekend off. Can we still get tickets online, or is it something we're going to have to show up at the door and say, here we are?
Yeah, you can. They're still available online for sure. I don't handle that end of it, so I'm not sure if that's right up to the day of the show or not. I would imagine that probably through Wednesday, they'll be available. That's my guess.
Because you got to have time for it to catch up to see what you sold. And
exactly. And you know, and then you can get them at the gate. I would like to say that the show's going to sell out, but which is a possibility, I suppose. But you know, we've played some other ones at some other places where it was like it's sold out, but you know, we'll squeeze some people in. I mean, if you show up, I highly doubt we're going to be like you have to leave.
Right, you can't have one more person. Nope, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it could get to the point where it's like there's no more camping room. I mean, that's a possibility. But if we can park a car and you can get a hotel room or drive back to home or whatever. But I mean, as of now, it's not sold out. There are tickets left, and there's space for camping. I think there's still camp by car left also, which is nice if that's what you like to do. I don't think I know there's no more RV spots or anything like that left, but I'm sure, I imagine there's some campgrounds. I know there's campgrounds around there. You could probably just, you know, get a campground somewhere else and take an Uber.
I just don't want to have to drive. So,
yeah.
But I tell you what, you said the VIP sold out or the RV?
The RV is sold out. VIP might be sold out. I'm not sure about that. I know there was like just a couple left a couple days ago.
Right. All right, there you go. But I mean, if you want to camp and go all 3 days, it's $165 for the 3-day GA ticket. You can buy $50 worth of food and have $100 in your pocket, and you can probably have the weekend of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can bring your own food too. You don't even need to buy any food if you don't want it. I mean, I want the vendors to get supported, obviously, but
right. But yeah, I hear you. You definitely. We've been talking about Dead and Company and the Golden Gate Park thing, and it's like what, like $600 or something to go all 3 days.
That's kind of crazy.
I mean, I love me some Dead and Company. I am totally a supporter, but estimate the profit, I guess, is going to be the lead-off song.
Yeah, it's like I said, like we were said a long time earlier in this, it just gets more expensive. That's just the way it is. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I don't. If people will pay,
I hear you.
Right? I mean, that's what it's about. So,
do you guys do any? do you guys do any dead covers anymore? I know I saw you do Dire Wolf once at Wilmer's Park to close a set, and we were all like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I mean, they get pulled out here and there. We don't do nearly as many as we used to do, but once in a while we'll throw them out, and you never know what you're going to hear. I mean, that's kind of the way it is with us.
I tell you what, that opening thing that we did on this, I took the crowd, and they're going Hookahville, from a performance from Hookahville one year that you opened with Hookahville. So I don't know what year it is off the top of my head. Do you got anything else, T?
I mean, not really. I just I just recommend that first of all, I recommend that people support smaller festivals because it's hard. It's hard in this day and age to put on festivals, and it's time consuming, it's expensive, and we try to keep it as affordable as we can. A lot of people are still like, wow, that's a lot of money, and I understand that, but not just our festival, but smaller festivals they're important. They're important in a lot of ways, and they have a lot of good elements about them. But as far as our festival goes, it's really gonna be a great time. I mean, if you don't like acoustic hookah, there's a lot of acoustic hookah going on, but if you do, or if you've never heard of us and you're just looking for something to do that's going to be a good time, I think most people that hear us like us. So,
I tell Strange Folk is bringing back their Garden of Eden festival for the first time since 2019 this year, and I was happy to see that. It's another small thing,
Yeah, I remember playing with Strange Folk many times. Been a long time.
I think it's the first time they played in years as Strange Folk. Reed did the Assembly of Dust thing for all those years.
If I remember right, I think they have somebody in the band whose last name's Katz.
Well, they might. I do not know that off the top.
Maybe the drummer. I think it might be their drummer. But anyways, yeah, I mean, support that too. But I mean, I just think if you're looking for something to do that's fairly low key as far as festival goes, and you want like just a really kind atmosphere, everybody's accepting, and you don't have to worry about really anything regarding the crowd, anything bad happening, anything like that. Hookahville has always been that way. Even when it got really big, it was still a very cool place to just hang out for the weekend. In fact, High Times once called it the coolest place on earth.
There you go. It's centrally located to a lot of states and a lot of places. I mean, a 6-hour drive will get you there from 5-6 different states, no problem.
Oh yeah, Chicago's 6 hours away. Anywhere like I think Middle Tennessee. Right. Pittsburgh's a couple hours away. Anything in Kentucky is only a few hours away. Even I think Nashville's about 6 hours away. I mean, you can come from a lot of different places, not hard to get to. Be really mellow, easy vibes all the way through. Be a great time.
Perfect. Sounds like a great weekend. Good music, good people, fun. It's great.
Yep.
Hold on for a sec. I'm gonna run an outro, and then we have to wait for the cloud to catch up. Your recording, so we don't lose it. So I'm gonna run the intro, then we'll end it, and then we can talk for a minute.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.